Here it comes. I just love this part. If you don't know For King and Country, you need to listen to the music. Maria, do you know this song? I always do this. Ready? And I go. When Joy comes up, you have to go. It's the best song. I choose Joy. If only we could just have a dance party every Friday at lunchtime, right? So this was probably, for most of you, one of the most powerful sections so far. And because it really touches some tender topics, one of them being perfectionism, one of them being your childhood, one of them being how anxiety manifests itself inside of your body. And I think that these are all valuable tools that if we learn them, we can really have a lot more control in our life. So I'm going to give you a couple little tips before we get started, and then I want to work through some of the questions. And it would be awesome to get really good interaction, because the only way this works is if we learn from one another. Jim Rohn always says that we would be fools to not learn from other people's experiences, their successes or their failures. It's free. It's free personal growth to watch someone either walk through a hard time or walk through a good time and take notes. Like, okay, so when this happens and you do this, this could occur. Learn from other people. That's what it's all about. But I wanted to share with you really quick. I was just at corporate for the last week. I just had the best time. In fact, I don't know if you can see this picture, but as I was leaving, I saw Tarl and I said, you know, it went great. The training was awesome. I just so appreciate you bringing us down here. And I was just thanking him. And I said, let's get a picture. So we stood next to each other. I said, you know what? Put your hand on your hip. I was like, dude, be like a jewel. Put your hand on your hip. And he did. It was the best thing ever. I'm going to try to pull this up so you can see it. Can you see this? I mean, come on. That's just the best. So he gave us, everybody at corporate walks around with these culture cards in their, either in their front pocket or they just keep them on them. I mean, this is just how committed they are to their culture at corporate. So let me read you just a little bit of this, and then I've got two little things I want you guys to write down, and we're going to get started with questions. So Plexus core values, on the front it just says, we are one Plexus, we are accountable, we get the job done right, we empower others. So people at corporate, they look at us as the reason that they have jobs. They're always like, thank you for sharing Plexus because I have a job. Which is really a neat feeling to know that we're contributed to all these people's, you know, household incomes and their families and their kids' college and their vacations. But I was reading through this, and you've probably heard our core values before, but I just wanted to share with you. It says, we empower others. There's other ones along the way, but this is the one that just really spoke to me. We empower others. We support individual freedom to make decisions. We enable employees and ambassadors to change their lives in a positive way through personal and professional development. So what that means to me is, professionally, we need to develop, we need to learn skills, we need to have systems, we need to learn how to grow and create duplication, we need to learn leadership skills, and that's important. But they didn't forget to include personal development. Because he said Alec told the story where his grandfather had like the roughest hands because he always worked outdoors. He was a farmer, he was a rancher, and he just was in the dirt and taking care of animals and gardening. I mean, just his hands were cracked and rough. And he said, I wonder what my grandfather would think of me, because he passed away a while ago. And he said, if he shook my hands, because they're soft. Alex said, my hands are soft. And he'd say, Alec, what are you doing for a living? And he said, I thought about it. What I would say to him is, I grow people. And I thought that was just beautiful. And that's exactly right. So let's just grow together today. So let's get started with this. Many of us are going to relate to perfectionism. We're going to relate to that. And I heard this week from Preston Pugmire, and it's not easy to say out loud, but I'm going to say it anyways. Perfectionism, you're not going to like this. I'm actually nervous to say it. Perfectionism is laziness. right? You're like, no, it's not. That doesn't even make sense. Listen, you will not do something. You'll fill your time with other things. You will not do it until it's an A+. It has to be an A+. So you're not doing it. And what's that definition? You're not doing it. What is that? Laziness. You're not doing it because it has to be A+. Very rarely in life is something A+. Those are just like few and far between. So what if all of you guys decided that you were okay with a B? Like, well, what if you were okay with a B job? So 80% of the time you're doing a B, and then maybe 20% of the time you get an A. You might pull out an A, but wouldn't it be great to just live in that 80%? So perfectionism is something that people struggle with, and rooted back, Heather's was rooted back in childhood for her. Were her parents mean, cruel, negligent parents? No. We have to show compassion for other people because we're all just doing the best that we know how to do. One of the things I struggle with is if I'm teaching people, if I'm training people, if I'm talking about leading a team, I don't do that the best in the whole world. I miss the mark daily. And as I'm talking about it, I think, well, I hope they don't ask so-and-so if this is true about me. Like, I'm worried about that. But do I serve the world by hiding and shirking back because I know that I missed the mark? Or can I just be okay with being B, not A B, but being at a B level? Can I just be okay with that and then still be used? So what I want to show you is this. It's so simple. This is what we do when we feel fear and we want to be perfect. We have two choices. We avoid it or we pursue it. Those are the only two choices, whatever that might be. It could be a rank advancement. It could be reaching out to a dream teamer. It could be making a specific post that's very vulnerable for you. It could be answering the question, what do you do for a living? And you don't know what you're going to say. Avoid or pursue. So when we avoid, we are actually living in these two places. We are living in the place of fear, and we're living in the place of rejection. We're not even going to put ourselves out there. We have created the situation that we are rejected. We're not even going to go there. Nope. So avoidance is living in fear. Preston says this. He's like, I love in Plexus that everyone's like, fear's a liar. I'll punch you in the face, fear. He's like, and I like that, but what are you doing with that? So if you avoid, you're living in fear, you're living in rejection. What happens when you pursue something? You live in a place of love and connection. So love and connection. I'm writing this down for you all. So avoidance, living in fear and rejection. Pursuance, or pursuing something, you live in love and connection. But guess what? You cannot live here without the possibility of fear and rejection. You cannot pursue something and believe, yeah, wouldn't it be great, 100% success rate? And think about falling in love. You fall in love and the payoff is big, but you had to risk fear and rejection to get that payoff. And we have to learn to be okay with that. So I think that's just a simple way of looking at things. When you're facing something in your life through the day, simple things. For example, food. If you go to food and you want to eat something that's not going to serve you, are you living in avoidance or are you pursuing? So if you're living in avoidance, it's, I'll deal with those health goals tomorrow. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to deal with that tomorrow. Today's too much. We had to write a visualization and go back to our past and think about who we were before we were with Plexus. And I realized as I was writing that I loved, this is crazy, I loved being able to say, we're too broke for me to eat healthy. I have to eat this. I liked that. It's the best excuse ever. And even now I'll use it. Well, of course I didn't eat healthy. I was traveling. It's impossible to eat healthy when you travel. Is it? No? So all week long I said, Jen, don't eat any gluten or any dairy and prove to yourself that you can do it on a trip. So I didn't. I ate no gluten. I ate no dairy, just to prove to myself I could do it. That's not my normal. Okay, so let's go ahead and bust into this with Heather. And what I want to hear from is one person just to tell me right now that when they listen to this, they felt the tears. They felt like they were Heather. Who is someone that just identified so deeply? Oh, wow, a lot of you. Amy, would you mind unmuting and just sharing like?
Yes, I am a crier, 1000%. I've been in multiple interviews for teaching and meetings with my principal where I cried, and it was humiliating because I felt like my whole, and I don't know if you're going to get into this later, but my dad was one that did not praise ever. He would ask you to do something and you'd go do it and you'd bring it back, but you didn't do it the right way. And he would berate me for that. And it was over and over through my whole life. And so now it's like I'm terrified to do anything at all. So my reaction is crying and sleeping. I want to just hide in my bed and sleep.
Avoidance.
Yes.
And did you see how they said with Heather, she said she always had tears in her eyes, which isn't good, she said, for being in the professional world. But Mel had to go back and said, well, what happened before the tears? Like, let's try to catch it before the tears come. And I think for her, she felt like her throat tightening. Mm-hmm. Mel said her face flushes. For me, I get nauseous. What about you? Before the tears?
My chest tightens. My hands start to shake, and my throat tightens, and my face, it's like a ball of fire. Kind of like the way Mel described hers, that is like mine, and I'm terrified that I'm bright red, but usually it's not too bad. But and then I feel the sting in the eyes and the tears come, and I can't stop. Like I get to where Heather, there was a point where she could hardly talk. That's where I get to every time. And I'm like, this is so humiliating because I can't even answer your questions because I'm crying so hard. It's awful.
So is it possible when you to become so self-aware that you start to feel either the throat or the hands and you go, okay, hold on, maybe say, excuse me, I need to use the restroom, mm-hmm. or I'll be right back, or I need to make a quick phone call. And you use that time for that 90 seconds, whatever it is you chose on that list. I think she offered, I chose 90 seconds of exercise because there's something that happens when you're, Maria Perez taught me this because she's always like, exercise feels good. I'm like, no, it doesn't. But really, like, I mean, 90 seconds of whether it's this really deep diaphragmatic breathing to kind of help lower your vagus nerve loves deep breathing. It just kind of, brings it back. What could you catch it early on, and what would you do? What'd you choose for those 90 seconds, Amy?
I liked what she said, and I went through all the options, but I really liked the idea of, wiggling down in my seat might look weird if I'm doing this in an interview, or of course I won't be in one now, but if I'm in a meeting of some sort. So I thought, just, doing this under the table, just feeling my fingers touching each other, or, feeling my feet on the ground, and breathing together. Because that's something you can do without excusing yourself.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, just grounding yourself, literally. Like, I'm okay. My feet are on the ground. The chair holding me up. Just like reassuring yourself. Yeah, I love that. Just not living blindly, like just letting things happen to us, like actually having control, self-control, and being able to control where our mind takes our body. And I love that it said that our body knows. We carry that memory forever. It's in us. Okay, so perfect. Thank you, Amy. She shared her physical characteristics when she starts to live in that place of fear, whether it's because she doesn't think she's going to do it right, or she's going to get criticized, or someone's going to think her idea is not good, or she feels like she's about to fail. So it gives you all these lists of physical attributes on that first page, page 12. Does anyone have one that's not in that list? Does anybody have a symptom when they start to feel anxious that's not in that list?
I did. Mine was just the feeling of absolute cortisol. Like I can feel, because I've been an adrenal fatigue person for a little too long, I can feel the surge of it.
What does it feel like? Is it like?
It's intensively strong, and then it's very fluttery. because it's just literally like I can feel the burst. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but like if he were to touch me on the shoulder in a moment of it, I'd go through the roof. Like it is so strong.
Do you ever catch yourself, because I get the tight chest feeling. Do you ever catch yourself doing that and going, you don't have to do that right now? Like your body is just so used to doing it for no reason. You're like, I'm not even nervous about anything, but it's so ingrained in you. You're like, okay, I guess this is the time I start clenching my chest and having all the physical manifestations. And you're like, we're good. Like, I'm okay, body. I got this. I don't need to do that. Okay, so you feel that surge of cortisol. Destiny, you were going to say something, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I'm so proud of you said my name right. A lot of people don't. No, I got really, because I guess these things don't happen to me very often. I live a pretty docile life. But I noticed, like, when I get upset with the kids or I was getting upset with something, I clench. Everything's in the shoulders, and I just clench, and I get hot and nervy, and I start doing, like, busy, weird things, you know, and that's how I just avoid it. I avoid the situation, and I go do something else, and I'm just busy with nonsense. But then it, you know, when I slow down, I feel all in the shoulders, and I'm like, okay, I need my daughter to massage me, grab something, because I'm just up here.
Clenching. I mean, and that's that.
Yeah.
People that have like the TMJ, clenching their jaw constantly. So these are the physical badges we wear of the mindset issues that we have. And her encouragement is, let's work through it. Let's stop it before it gets too far. So when you start to notice the first little ping, you just literally have to stop and do what you need to do to keep it from progressing. Okay, so let's move on to page 13. That had the list of things that you can do to help slow your body down. Of course, you can do breathing, meditation, you can listen to music. Music is such a great healer. You can think of worst case scenarios. Does someone have a tip in here? And see, Destiny said she likes to go clean and just kind of like get all that nervous energy out. What about anyone else? Something that they do to help bring themselves down? A hobby or a certain person they go to in that time? I could never hug someone for 90 seconds. I would be so annoyed.
In the past, I've walked or called my mom. I can vent and she knows I'm not screaming at her. I just need to get it out of my body.
Is she your person you could call at 4 a.m?
Yes.
And she'd be
absolutely.
Yeah. That was probably one of the most beautiful parts of this for me. What I don't know about for you guys, that how important it is to have friendship, how important it is to have that person that you can call. And I think it said that most people, let me read this because it was just crazy. Well, it says 70% of your personal happiness is tied up in your relationships. But then it said this: we lose half of our close friends every 7 years. And the way to stop that from happening is to stay in touch every 2 weeks to keep the friendship alive, which is wild. 50% of your friends in 7 years, which that is kind of our business. So I think like that's a really valuable tip for you guys. Okay. I'm going to take somebody back to an event. So on page 13, she asked you what small moment stands out in your mind from your childhood that caused you to be really upset. So, and this I know is hard, but does someone have a moment they can just go back and go, oh, I don't even like thinking about that? Maybe not trauma, maybe just something that made you feel embarrassed or maybe scared or you're upset, but like just some moment that you remember from the ages of like 5 to 10 that you'd be willing to share.
I'll share mine because I had an actual pretty good breakthrough this week, and I was prepped to share it this week with you guys. You know, it wasn't a trauma thing, and it was just parents trying to be good parents, you know, do the best that they could type of thing. But I was always told, be seen and not heard. Children, be seen and not heard. Destiny, go sit down. You know, you're one of the kids. Go do your thing over there. Don't bother us over here. Don't interject, you know, kind of thing. And it was just, you know, trying to, you know, make me behave or whatever. But I really see how that carried through in my lifestyle. And now my parents would be mortified if they knew how that has affected me 40 years later, So, but that translated into, I'm sure it's probably in with the next thing, but since I'm on here and I won't keep talking to everybody, when I started my Plexus business, I had a lady, I did the perfect throw up Plexus all the time thing. And I had a lady message me and say, if you don't get off of here and if you don't stop posting these posts, I'm going to defriend you. I don't want to hear any more about your Plexus stuff. And she just really kind of, in a decent way, but still, told me this was a woman that I really respected. She's very wealthy. She has the prominence in a very high-end banking industry and everything. And so for her to tell me this was kind of validating the stuff I had heard as a child, be seen and not heard, you don't want to be seen. And so that just shut me off. And so every time, I've been in Plexus almost 5 years now. So every time I go to send a message to somebody or share a post, I hear these don't bother anybody. Oh, I'm posting too much. And so hearing Heather's story about, when she went to the one business meeting and the lady's like, no, don't ever do this. And then, having to be perfect. Oh, well, I have to have the perfect post to get anybody to listen. Anyway, it was a big aha moment to me this week to see the things I'd been told as a child, how they played and validated with being an adult. And now it's like, nope, I don't want that. I'm breaking that chain, new thoughts. So that's where I was with that. Anyway.
Perfection. Seriously, Destiny. I mean, that right there was an experience or a thought that you carried on into your adulthood. And it's even asked here, what pattern did you create to avoid that feeling? Well, you don't want to feel like you don't want to be corrected or you should be seen, not heard. So you just play small, stay small. You're safe if you're small. And then the one time you try to get brave and step out, somebody comes and says that to you, which one, doesn't that just floor you, your potential for affecting someone's life? Like what one line you could say to someone that would make such a huge difference. And none of us usually we don't mean to cause that kind of thing for people. Like maybe we're just in the heat of a moment, we say something. For example, that woman saying that was not a good idea. If it was a good idea, it already would have been done. I mean, I think about all the famous thinkers. I mean, it wasn't Einstein considered just like unintelligent. He was berated as a child. It's really interesting the effect that words have on us. We just adopt them. We're like, okay, that's truth. And it's not, but now we just have to undo that kind of mind trash that's been created. It was really good. Does somebody else want to share before I move on?
I just really quick want to add to that too. In that, when you guys we did the Bob Heilig stuff last week with the messaging and stuff, I messaged her. I had carried on a little bit of a relationship through people's, posts, because she did block me. I haven't seen her. Anyway, I did end up messaging her on my check-in list, or I counted her as 3 people, not 5. I counted her as 3 for me. But I messaged her and I said, I know I failed in the beginning, but would you be willing to watch this video now that I've learned some new stuff and we've got some new stuff coming? She's like, sure, I'll watch it. She wasn't interested, but I did it. And for me, that was huge. I overcame with that. So anyway, I had to share that part of that.
Oh my gosh. Like, you're like Thor. Seriously. I'm just so amazed with you. I had a friend that I just loved dearly, and she watched my kids. She was single. And we just were the best of friends. And as soon as I started first posting about Plexus, her dad messaged me. And I literally thought he was joking, because I thought, how could someone ever say this? He said, if you don't stop posting all this Plexus stuff, I'm going to have to unfriend you. But when I read it, I was like, if you don't stop posting, I'm going to unfriend you, like a joke, So I wrote back. I wrote the word Plexus like 50 times. I was like, Plexus, 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 like, because I thought it was funny. And he unfriended me, like literally just not even unfriend, like block. And then we didn't speak for like 4 years. Is that not completely insane? And that's not even on me. Like, I mean, maybe I shouldn't have said Plexus 50 times, but I was trying to be funny. Wasn't trying to be like disrespectful. I didn't think people really were like that. So we're all going to deal with this. And you should just go ahead again, decide that if I'm going to pursue this, I am okay with rejection. I am okay with having that tiny little fear. Like, is this going to happen to me? Go ahead and just say, probably, it could. And that's okay. We're going to be okay. So we talked about how our body feels. How does our posture shift? If everybody right now would just kind of lean and slump forward, put their hands or their shoulders forward and their head down, that posture physiologically changes you. So you just don't have that confidence. So then just raise up, shoulders back, head up. My friend Preston, he said, I channel Beyonce whenever I'm doing something. He's like, when she's on that stage, her eyes, she's like, just like the way he does it, I literally die every time. But I mean, what a great way of thinking. Like when I go, I can't stand being the first person to walk into a restaurant or a church or a store. I want someone else to go in first. Well, that's playing small. So I decided I'm going to be the first one to go in. And not only that, I'm going to walk fast, my head up high, my shoulders back, and I'm going to be like, hey. So I make sure I find someone, lock eyes and go, hey, so that I can just get over myself. I did it at the resort. I'm sure people were scared. I got in an elevator. I'm like, hey. And they're all like, get off at the next floor. But we got to get over ourselves. So when you have a habit, that old pattern, that old habit, and I put down, let me read this to you. Okay. My mom made me these horrible peach culottes. Do you remember culottes? What's that other word for it? I can't even think. Pedal pushers? I don't know. Like there's these
gauchos.
Okay. So she made this outfit. It had a matching top. So the pants and the top, peach, and a purse that I had to wear across my chest, like a side purse. So that's first grade. And I didn't want to wear it. I was begging her not to wear it. I was embarrassed of it. And she had made it, okay? So I wore it anyways. She told me I couldn't take it off. I couldn't take the purse off. And I just remember hiding in class, literally hiding in the back. I was just sick to my stomach. I felt less than. And this isn't my mom's fault. It's just what I experienced. So I wrote down that I felt incompetent, like everybody else was dressed cute and I was wearing peach culottes. And that's a memory for some reason that just has always bothered me, even to this day. And it says, so what pattern did you create to avoid this feeling? Well, I created a victim pattern. Everybody else gets to dress nice, but not me. That victimization, because it feels good. It really does, being in a defensive pattern. So then what does that create? Well, I'm always looking for someone to blame. I want to blame. There's got to be somebody to blame for this. And so I'm constantly doing that. So what can I do instead of that pattern, that current habit? Something happens, like anything. Let's just say something falls in the house. I want to be like, who did that? I need to blame someone. So here's what I can do to break that pattern. Compassion. Compassion for myself first, because when I do it right with me, I'm going to do it right with others. Compassion for myself, because I'm hard on myself. If I do something, if I break something, if I spill something, if I trip, I always say in my head, way to go, Jen. Way to go. So now if I show compassion and go, it's okay. It's okay. The way I would talk to my children, then I can show other people compassion too. Okay, moving forward. Who is the parent you most craved attention and affection from? And what did you do to get that attention? So Amy shared a little bit, or was it Destiny? Oh, I guess both of you. Yeah. Anyone else want to share who they craved attention from? What'd you do to get it? How were you criticized when you were younger? And I won't show this to your parents. Tara, just unmute yourself.
I think for my dad, it was always a matter of just trying to achieve, and kind of that always trying to live up to those expectations, just like Heather had talked about in her interview or whatever. But just always trying to achieve and meet those expectations, and yet when I met them, never quite good enough. Like, well, you met that one, no, what's your next one? You know, it was never, achievements were not necessarily celebrated. It was like, okay, what's the next thing? You know, so I personally have had a hard time, you know, celebrating those small wins or whatever. Like, that's never been shaped up in my life to do. So I think that's something that I've struggled with for years. And so, yeah.
As you're saying that, I'm asking myself, for you, what do you think your dad's motive is in not giving rewards for achievement, like not being celebratory, not congratulating? Is it
To push me so that I would never give up because of, I mean, when I was, when I have a crazy medical history, as you know, Jennifer, and, you know, like the doctors pretty much told my parents I'd never graduate. I'd probably never graduate from high school, you know? And so I think they were, my dad, especially, I think because he was in education and everything, was like always trying to push me so that, and I think he did it lovingly in the sense that, or I should say from a place of love, where he wanted me to keep going, and just keep pushing myself and not giving up, which I did. You know, I fucking got my master's degree, you know, I'm going to go back to that doctor and say, huh, what? I'm sorry. But, you know, so I don't know. I think that's probably where that stems from.
so? Are you self-critical to shield yourself from criticism of others? Do you criticize?
Possibly. Yes, and then I like catch myself, and I tell my, like, it's one of those, like, I do, and I'm like, okay, I need to say something positive about myself. But you know, it's like one of those things, you know, you're like, I'm aware of what I'm doing, and then I have to stop myself. So it's kind of like this flip flop. It's like,
Well, I think that's perfect, because where most of us are living in a negative loop and don't even know it. And usually we just assume everyone else is the same way. So I think it's ones on the Enneagram, they have this inner critic that's constantly in their ear. And when they find out that other people don't have this inner critic, they're shocked. They're like, you mean you don't always have someone in your ear telling you, oh, someone else is way better at that? Or, oh, if you had any talent, this would have turned out better. It's just incredible. Who has an inner critic? Like, is anyone a 1 on the Enneagram? Are you guys not doing that? Too trendy. I encourage you guys to, you're a 2, Amy? I encourage you guys to look into that, because that alone, along with what we're talking about today, it's mindset. But when you, so the Enneagram is an old Jesuit personality testing, and it's not weird. I think I told you guys that I thought it said was called the pentagram. I was like, no, we're not going to do that. But it's super beneficial. I'd be happy to, when I post the recording to this, I'll put in the comments the test that you can take. Now, it's better if you read the book and then see where you identify. But if you do want to just take a quick test, this one is great. I used to do a different one, but I charge for it now. So I would encourage you to do that, and it helps you with self-awareness, helps you with that negative loop, and you'll know where you go in times of stress and be prepared to stop yourself from doing that. Okay, so let's talk about dealing with self-criticism and having an anchor thought. So a positive memory or an image that you can use as your anchor thought is the first thing she wants you to do. So go ahead and think right now, and this is not a memory, but I just want you to think right now, a year from now, I want you to think of your most peaceful life, whatever that looks like. Go ahead and just picture it in your head right now. Like, where are you? Who are you with? What's going on in the house? Are there kids talking? Is there something cooking on the stove? Are you at a friend's house? What are you wearing? Like, literally go there. If you ever will just sit down and visualize that perfect, peaceful day in your future, that is such a great anchor thought. For me, I picture being on my front porch, my husband's sitting next to me, we're in the rocking chairs, I'm holding his hand, the kids are playing in the front yard, my son, who, I have to be careful because they can hear me, who can't tie his shoes, is actually driving a truck, and it's just like so beautiful to me to see him like competent. He's driving around in front of the house, there's like something cooking in one of those Le Creuset pots on the stove, like I can picture it, and that's such an anchor for me. Like if I'm like, ah! I'm like, front porch, husband, kids, all is well. My son's competent. I'm healthy. I'm cooking delicious, healthy food. It just feels good. So do that for yourself, guys. That anchor thought will help you a lot. So the next thing that she talks about after that is spending time with positive people. So go ahead. Someone share with me their greatest cheerleader in their life right now, currently. Just unmute yourself.
My dad. He's always telling me stuff. Of course, he's my dad, right? But yeah, he's the one that always encourages me and helps me and tells me what a great job I'm doing. And I'm like, I think you're crazy. No, but yeah, he always is encouraging me.
I mean, not everybody has that. So, I mean, you think, of course, he's my dad, but really, not everybody has that. So, I mean, that's a great thing to have in your life. Somebody else, their biggest cheerleader, Leslie.
I would say Maria's mine.
Aw, I love that, because Maria, first of all, Maria, you know the value of having a cheerleader. So you're going to make sure you offer that to other people. And I love that. What about your biggest naysayer? Do you have someone in your ear? You don't have to say their name, because I am going to post the link to this. What about somebody in your life right now that you can think of that anytime you're doing something, doesn't matter what it is, they have something to say about it? Are you sure you're going to do that? Or, oh, you don't want to do that. Or I saw where you, actually, gosh, I was talking to this girl and her mom is just very critical, which we all know if you see it from the outside that it's really the mom that's insecure and she just takes it out on her daughter. So she tells her daughter, I don't want to take any pictures with you. You always look so pretty and you just make me look like I'm just a bag of burlap, and just constantly berating her for just being who she is, how she looks. So they went out to a Michael Bublé concert a couple weeks ago, and the mom said after they got home, should have told you earlier, but that outfit, you looked really big from the back in it. Yeah. Yeah. Now, can you cut your mom out of your life? I guess I wouldn't do that, because what is that telling your children? I don't want them to cut me out of their life someday. But can you create boundaries that help you to not have that in your ear all the time? You have to, especially if you're doing all this hard work and then you purposely allow people to speak into it and destroy the hard work that you're doing. You got to get control over that. All right, so let's talk about fixed and growth mindset. One of the things I'm just going to show you, it's really simple. It's just a little acronym. And again, I got this from Preston Pugmire. He did that training this week. It's just an acronym, set the bar, but the word "the" is not there, but just set the bar. This is how you set the bar for success, where you incorporate your mindset to actually allow for good results. So I'll just break this down really quick. If some of you guys have already taken this class, you know this, but the S stands for state. And what that means is if you are, whatever you're doing, let's just say you're going in for a job interview, you're sending messages with Plexus, you want to go live, you have to talk to a neighbor, whatever it is you're about to do, you have to make sure you're in the right state to do it. And that's everything. You can't have breakthroughs, you can't perform at the best level if you are not in the right state. And there are some simple things that you can do to help yourself get in the right state. One of them, it sounds so silly, is movement. Literally, every day, 10 minutes, move, go walk, do something, because it actually puts you in the right state. Meditate, whatever that looks like for you. Don't think of that as being like weird, soul conversations. I mean, it could be, but literally it could just be sitting in silence and letting your system slow down. Because we're just constantly ping, 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 message, 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 bad news report. It's just too much. So slow your system down. So working on your mindset. These are all ways you can get in the right state. And when you're in the right state, that affects your emotions and your thoughts. And those are interchangeable. So we know the way that you think affects how you feel. And the way that you feel affects your thoughts. So emotions, just go that way. Emotions and thoughts. So get into the right state. This will affect your emotions, which affects your thoughts, and vice versa. And your emotions and your thoughts, what you think and what you feel, just become your belief system. So if you think that people are always out to get you, that's just your belief system. You'll operate in that belief system. If you think that you're always going to mess it up, then that's your belief system. Are you going to take big risks? Are you going to take chances? Probably not. So the B for bar is beliefs. That creates your beliefs. And whatever it is that you believe, so if it's everybody in my family is overweight, that's just how the women are. The women in my family are always overweight. That's just a genetic thing. So that's my belief. So I'm in the state of, it's genetics. I'm a victim to my genetics. So my emotions and my thoughts tied to food are, I'm doomed, I'm cursed. That's just my genetics. So my belief is I can't lose weight. So what's my action? Am I going to try? Probably not. And so what are my results? I'm going to stay overweight. Buttercup, no barking. Actions, and then my results. So for example, maybe you didn't go to college, and maybe you think nobody in your family went to college. So your family we just aren't high achievers. Nobody in my family is a high achiever. That's what you're thinking. So your belief is that nobody in your family is ever going to get to the top of anything. It's great for other people, and I love watching it, and I want it to happen for them. But for me, nobody in my family, what's a buttercup? Oh, what's up, buttercup? That's my dog. Nobody's a high achiever in my family. So your action is not going to be a high achiever's action. And so you're not ever going to get to that stage that you're looking to get to. Because of course, in your heart, do you want to be a diamond? Well, sure. But when you really think about it realistically, what is that going to require of you? How many people are going to be looking at you? What kind of work would that require? And then you're going to have a way bigger stage to mess up on. But you got to be okay with it. It's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. You're okay. All is well. So fixed mindset, growth mindset. We've got about 18 minutes left. She wrote down this. You know what matters is the effort that you put in, and that effort is what you are 1,000% control of. It's only up to us. Nobody else can do the effort. So many of us spend years, decades thinking about what we want to do. Just thinking. We're like professional thinkers. But we don't ever actually put it into action. And it could be that fear of failure. It could be that perfectionism. It could be procrastination. I told you about procrastination before, but when you put something off, because that's your personality, you think, which by the way, there's no such thing as a procrastinator personality. There is no such thing. I thought that was just my part of who I am. It's not true. Procrastination is putting it off so that you have a limited amount of time to accomplish it. And that becomes your excuse later when it's not as good as you would have hoped. You say to yourself or to anyone else, it would have been better if I had more time. It's your excuse. It's the security blanket. It helps you feel safe. So procrastination is a symptom of really bad mindset. Perfectionism is a symptom of really bad mindset. Self-sabotage is a symptom. So let's look at this fixed mindset voice in your head. It's on page 19. Would somebody share a couple of the things that they checked that are fixed mindsets? Think of fixed meaning caste system. Like, you know what caste system is? Wherever you're born, that's where you stay. Like if you clean the gutters, then your children will clean the gutters. Your parents have cleaned the gutters. That's just who you are. Fixed means you cannot change it. Somebody share with me the things that they checked on number 1. Somebody that hasn't talked yet. Or somebody that has, because you guys are team players.
Well, I checked it's not numbered. People will laugh at you for thinking you could do it.
Has that happened to you before?
There is a subtle weirdness between my husband's law partner and me right now. It's just like his wife loved our stuff and bought our vitamins for a couple of months, and then she just stopped. No excuse, no reason. She says, no, I just have to stop. So I know her husband wouldn't take them. So I think there's stuff going on behind the scenes, and she wouldn't come out and say it. She does not do conflict at all. She won't say anything. if there is a conflict, she will just go around it. She will not say anything about it. So I think he just thinks it's weird. So, but I
home kind of laughing, like, can't believe she.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's kind of the world. It's the legal community. They're very, I don't want to say snobby, but it's kind of like that. They're very elitist in many ways because they deal with a whole lot of helping other people with their legal issues, and where you go to school matters, and your standing matters, and so.
And until we can get to the place that I feel, I don't mean to brag, but I work with Plexus. That's kind of how I feel. Like,
right.
I don't mean to brag, people, but because it is hard, especially when you're in that kind of circle, Leslie, where this appears to be a less than choice because it's unconventional. But here's what we have to stop doing. And this is a fixed mindset issue. We have to stop making posts that say, I was never going to do network marketing, or I know what people think of network marketing. You're priming your audience to go to a fixed mindset about network marketing. Why wouldn't someone do this? Why? I don't understand. You get great compensation. You are buying from a friend. You can do it from home. I mean, like, literally when I think about it, I'm like, that sounds like the perfect thing. So instead of saying that to your audience, you need to show them that there's nothing to, I don't want someone to read a post and go, why would that be weird? Oh, people think bad of that? I'm not doing that then. I didn't realize people thought bad of that. So we're priming our audience with that fixed mindset that network marketing is an industry people look down on. I mean, people could say that about lawyers, right, Leslie?
Oh, they do all the time.
Yeah.
I've got a lawyer joke book.
Is that real?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm glad there's no network marketer joke book. That'd be horrible.
There are, but.
Oh, gosh, don't show me them. Let me stay in my place of ignorance.
Well, I mean, you got to realize I live in Orlando. That's headquarters for Amway and Tupperware. So yeah, they do it. They have done it for years differently. Well,
and that's just like lawyers. We'll go back to lawyers. There are some lawyers that you could trust to the ends of the earth, and they're doing it on the up and up. And then there's some that are not. But we gotta stop taking that on. If we prime our people to think something first, the first thought we give them is usually the one that they adopt. So we stop priming them that way. Just like when someone joins and you announce them and you say, welcome to my new wholesale ambassador, or telling them, oh, you're just a wholesale ambassador. Okay, I've even actually had people say to me, oh, I use Plexus, but I'm just a wholesale ambassador. I get you're not, you also wouldn't say to them, you're an aggressive salesperson with the top PV in the company. Like, you wouldn't sign them up that way either, right?
No.
Instead, we prime them to say something like this. So imagine you're making a post. I don't know why I'm digressing, but I think this is actually good for the whole fixed and growth mindset. You add someone to a team page, and here's what you're going to say. You're going to vision cast for them. You're going to show them what you believe they can aspire to be. So I wanted to welcome Leslie to this page. I cannot wait until she's migraine free and having as much fun as we're having. And we're having double friendships because of what we have in this community. You're showing them the aspiration. You're not saying anything weird. Like, I can't wait until she's added 50 people, but you're showing them what you believe that they could have. So Wendy Larson, have you ever seen her post when she first started? She was just a customer. She was just doing it on her own. She had her and Kristen Abart. And she messaged Kristen after 7 weeks. She had Lyme disease. And she said, it's not working. Not only that, I think I've gained weight. I'm waking up in the morning with like this heavy feeling on my chest. Like, she wrote all this stuff that was so horrible about Plexus. And Kristen challenged her. She's like, you need to go another month. And so she agreed to, but she's like, if I'm going to do it, I want it cheaper. So she upgraded. She got added to a group where other people were having success with the products. And suddenly in 2 weeks, she's like, I think I'm feeling better. Because the shift, what you focus on expands. She was realizing there were things that were going right for her, But when you're alone in your mind with your negative loop, what are you focusing on? Just all the things that aren't working. So that's just a little tip for you with the fixed mindset. That was great. Thank you, Leslie. Does anybody else want to share something that they related to, that they checked?
I checked the, if I can't do it perfectly, why should I even try? That is a loop. That's Jill did the same thing. That is a constant loop in my mind for parenting, for housekeeping, for Plexus, for everything. If I can't do it perfectly, like my house is a disaster, if I can't clean it so it's immaculate, why should I even try? And
what's the standard for perfect? I'm wondering, where does that come from? Is it in your head and you know what it would look like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about for Plexus? Like, what would perfect look like?
Perfect looks like I'm not offending anyone. I'm not being over salesy. I'm caring about others. Like all those things that we try to be. I like when I message people, it takes me forever because I go over every word and think, how is this going to sound to them? How is this going to sound to someone who doesn't know anything about Plexus? Am I going to be too pushy? Am I going to be, too cheerleady? I want to make it sound just right, or I'm not going to send it. It's
but
annoying.
100 B+ messages is better than 0.
I know.
I mean, truly. And here's the thing. You are going to sound salesy sometimes. You are. Yeah. And you are going to sound pushy sometimes. But you're also going to sound genuine sometimes. And you're also going to have people that connect with what you're saying. So it's kind of like you have to take the good with the bad. And that wasn't me correcting you. I'm just saying, like, you're made for more. Like, you're made for greatness. And for this perfectionism thing, like, we're just going to have to battle it. And I'm here for you to do that. And I like the quitting one. Like, if it's not too late to quit, I think I'm going to pull out. That's what I noticed with the leadership training we do. The 3 days before the leadership training that people have paid to come to, bought tickets to, they will all start panicking, and we'll get like 15% of them that quit. They say, something came up, I'm not coming. In that last 3 days beforehand. Why? Because they are scared. So they'll make an excuse, and usually our excuses are really good and believable and actually valid. Like there was a lady there that literally, the day she gets back from the training, so she probably got back today or yesterday, she literally walks in the house, grabs her suitcases, gets her son, and they fly to Australia where he's taking an internship at the Hillsong Church there for the next 3 years. So she could have said, I really can't because it's just so like, it's not good timing, but she didn't do that. She just said, it's important to me, I'm going to do it. All right, we have 7 minutes. So let me go ahead and move. Wasn't this just like a really big section? All right, go to page 22. I need someone to share. It says, think about something you're scared of, but that you want to do. What's something you're scared of that you want to do? Whatever it is, tell me. Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook Lives? Is it wear a bikini? What is it?
For me, I think it was the overcoming, and I think I did this week with I was scared of messaging chicken listers because I'm not as good as them. I'm not as important because everybody on my chicken list is elitist type people, people that I've met through scrapbooking industries and back in the day, and I put them higher than myself. So reaching out to them, I did that with my brother-in-law this week as well. They came out for my little baby's birthday, and he's one of the ones that poo-poos on everything you do. And you know what? I said, hey, he was falling asleep during the party. I said, I've got some energy drink. You want one? And I handed it to him. So I pushed myself through to, I did something scared, and I shook him up an active and gave it to him right there and let him say his little, it tastes nasty type thing. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I bet you're going to stay awake later. So I kind of got in his face over it a little bit. And when he walked out the door, he's like, well, it was gross, but I'm perking up. So, I'm like, that's a win. I'll take that. So I'm talking to people scared, people that I think would be above me or whatever, and just going it anyway and not being that person. So
let me ask you that. well, first of all, I don't know how someone thinks that tastes gross, but anyways, let me ask you this. When you said elitist, tell me what that means. Like, why do you feel less than them? What do they have that you don't? Is it money?
Money. They're smarter. See, I'm just a cowboy's wife. I live on a ranch. We make like below whatever incomes, and they're city people. I'm not a city person. They're just, everybody's better than me. Like, the fact that I'm even speaking here is a huge issue. Ask Krista. I mean, I'm usually the one that's in the back of the line. I waited for everybody else to get up to Bob Hiley to take his picture with him, playing small. They're important. They went to school. I never did. I had babies young. Your destiny, you're young, you're stupid, just hide in the corner. So, but I am overcoming that. So that's not who I am anymore.
I am grateful for you for being so open and honest about this. What is their personality? The person that's the elitist, tell me how they behave. What is their qualities, their character traits?
Okay, so let me go back to the gal that messaged me, because she's my brother-in-law. We call him Cousin Eddie, so I guess he's not an elitist. I see him as very important and smart, because they could have won. They did the old testing for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they were able to be called on because they're just so trivia. They're so smart. They are so smart people. Okay. And this lady, she is one of the biggest wigs in one of the biggest banks in America. She travels everywhere. I just see her super, super smart. She's eloquent. She speaks. She writes these novels when she does a Facebook post, and they're just so cool to read because she writes really well. And, she's just eloquent and elite. And I guess she drives the fancy cars.
I wrote all this down.
But you know what? I drive a car too. I'm going to be driving one here, right? So that's me. I'm going to be making the same paycheck, right? I'm talking to Jennifer Leith right now. Woohoo! Totally cool.
Hilarious. Okay, I wrote this. Here's what I want you to hear. If someone's able to go on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, they're actually willing to try out. What does that probably mean about them? They're confident. They're brave. If somebody's a great writer, then they actually have learned about life. They've gathered experiences. If someone is eloquent in the way they speak, and they're working at a bank in a great role, that means that they're competent and they're driven and they have goals. We are always trying to recruit people that we think are less than us. And that sounds horrible because I don't think anyone's less than us, but people that are easy to recruit. We don't want to recruit the emotionally stable, like high people that have great emotional intelligence. We don't want to recruit the brave or the confident because we feel less than them. So the analogy people use is when they go fishing, they want to fish for minnows. They don't want to fish for, like a shark. So we think that somebody is better than us, but it's really, that's exactly who we want. Do you really want to have to spend your entire business helping people overcome mindset issues, telling them it's okay and you can do it? Yeah, we want to do that for people, but wouldn't it be nice to recruit someone that's like, all right, great, I'm in. Like, wouldn't you want a driven business professional to be your level one? Like, that's exactly who you want. Why wouldn't they want to do this? They're diversifying. So this is a great business opportunity for you. You're the exact kind of person I'm looking for. In fact, that's what we're going to do. Close out. This is your assignment, and I want to see it. I want you guys to make a list of your perfect ambassador that you want to recruit. They have to have a name. I want to know how old they are. What is their sex? Are you looking for a male? Are you looking for a female? Are they in America, Canada, Mexico, Australia? I want to know how many kids they have. What do they do each day? How do they dress? I want you to break that person down for me, okay? That you're telling me your ideal level one. Because yes, I want to bring in the harvest. I want quantity. I like quantity. I like the idea of signing up 6 people each month. You're not going to always recruit someone that's a shark, but that's who we should be looking for. Your post should be directed towards getting that person. The way you message should be towards getting that person. So that's what I want you to focus on for this next week. And then you're going to listen to Rosa's coaching session. It's not as long, and the booklet isn't even near as long. I feel like we could do this for like double the amount of time, but I can't because I just can't sit still that long. I got to go do something else. All right. Well, thank you guys for giving me your time, and I will see you next week.